You don't want to miss the 2024 Charleston Black Expo, a full day of fun and activities for the whole family, including job fair, health fair, free seminars, the Divine Nine Greek Village. Join the fireside chat with Mother of Black Hollywood, actress Dr. Jennifer Lewis, and sensational performance by gospel singer and songwriter Dietrich Haddon. It's an enlightening, educating, and entertaining experience you don't want to miss. For tickets and more information, visit blackexposouth.com.
It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. And now here's your host, Geno Jones.
Hey, showtime! What's happening, everybody? The Geno Jones Show. Bam! You see that sign behind me? I hope you. So, if not, maybe you need to call your eye doctor. I come to you live Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. out in Los Angeles. Tell everybody, as my man Nelly would say, tell everybody to subscribe, share, screen grab, pull a video clip and make it go viral, create a YouTube short, or create a video clip for whatever platform that you have. You have my permission. Like and binge watch all my back episodes. My goal is to get 100,000 new subscribers. I qualify to be a YouTube partner, so help a brother secure that YouTube bag by spreading the word like a good vaccine. Everybody, subscribe to the Geno Jones Show and share, like it. Make sure you like every episode and screen grab, pull a video clip. Don't make this thing go super viral. So, March is Women's History Month, and my guest coming up in a few minutes. She is the CEO of CM, like Mary, CM, like Mary, my mother's name, Transportation. Corisa Carter. She's going to tell you her story. You're going to hear her story. And how she went from a little girl that should have had dreams, aspirations, to being the CEO of one of the major transportation companies here in America. African-American black woman owned, by the way. Like we said, March is Women's History Month. So let me kick off. Shout out my Pisces celebrating her birthday today. Speaking of women, Athena Cage, the lead singer for Cut Close. I love that song, her and Keith Sweat, or Day. She's the lead singer. It was a group. Nobody. She killed that vocal. Athena Cage is double nickel today, 55. Anna Marie Horsford, one of my favorite actresses. I love the show. Remember Amen back in the day, 227. My man, the late Sherman Hemsley was on there. She played the character Thelma. So, also, speaking of TV shows that she was on the Wayans Brothers, the Wayans Brothers TV show back in the 90s. She was also on a soap opera, The Bold and Beautiful. So, any bold and beautiful fans out there, you know this Sister Anna Maria Horsford, 76 today. Shaquille O'Neal, Google me, as he told the folks. You don't know, I'm Shaq. You don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. Google me. So you don't have to Google Shaq. He's 52 today. Happy birthday, big fella. Mary Wilson of the Supremes is 80 today, and rapper Beanie Siegel. Big Nickel, the Big 50, Big 50. So happy birthday to all of us. Happy birthday to all of my Pisces. Now I need to do something, so I'm leaning in. Fat Joe had the song Lean Back, so I'm leaning in. Shout out to everybody watching me live. My buddy Brewmaster Dre just posted in my live chat room. What's up there, family? Good to see you. So if you're watching me live, hey, if you got a comment, if you got a question, you just got something to say, you want to get off your chest, you think I'm crazy, you think I'm hilarious, whatever, feel free. You can post the question right now in my live chat room, and we'll have a conversation right here on camera. You might have a question for my guest when she comes on, get some tips about what it was like, some of the challenges she had as the CEO of a transportation company, all that, how to get a business started. We're going to do all that thing. First, speaking of Women's History Month, of course, March is Women's History History Month, and also the 65th March is the 65th anniversary or birthday of Barbie, like the doll Barbie. Yes, 65. Barbie's going to be 65 actually on March 9th, and in honor of Women's History Month, Mattel is creating a Viola Davis doll. Yes, but here's the weird part. They are making a Viola Davis doll, but it won't be available to buy? What the hell is that? Mattel, you missing out. Listen, see, this is where diversity and equity and inclusion is important. And I'm sure my guest, she'll speak to that. Because Mattel's been around forever, and I don't know how diverse that company is. And the fact that they would make this kind of decision tells me that they don't have people of color, especially African American women in really high, powerful positions inside of Mattel. Because that was a decision that, somebody didn't just pull it out their ass. I'm sure they had a meeting, they did data, and I can't believe that they sat in a room and said, let's make a Viola Davis doll. She's an Academy Award winner, one of the most talented actresses ever. One of the goats of this generation. Let's make a Viola Davis doll. Because, when we made African American dolls, Beyonce, my daughters still have their Beyonce, or Destiny's Child dolls with Beyonce, Serena Williams. So you create this doll, and you don't make it available for people to buy. Y'all leaving money on the table. That's one of the reasons why it's so important to have diversity inside of your corporation. Just a thought. So congratulations to Viola Davis. Now, before I bring my guest in, Super Tuesday is over. All right, so now we know the election, the 2024 presidential election is between President Joe Biden and a liar and a man who's been accused of sexual assault. One of the judges accused him of rape. Not my words. The judge said that he found that he was guilty of rape in the civil trial of E. Jean Carroll, a man who got 91 charges, 91 felony charges, and said that black people like him because they can relate to him having 91 charges. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm just going to be honest. 5.5, almost 6 decades, I don't know no black folks, no black person in the history of America that had 91 felony charges and they were not either in jail or dead. I don't know. Good luck. Google that one. Find the name of the black person that had 91 felony charges and didn't go to jail and live to brag and talk about it. So we have a choice, and understand you're not choosing between two people. This is not a choice between President Joe Biden and Orange Hitler, as I affectionately refer to him as. It's bigger than that. Even President Biden, I know even from my radio show said that. It's not about him. It's about this democracy. What does that mean? If you're watching me in the barber shop or the beauty shop, old school term, hair salon, it's a choice between your freedom and your oppression. Because you have one side that it's not perfect, but they want to expand your freedoms. They want to make sure that your civil rights are protected, that your voting rights are protected and restored. So much voter suppression going on. They want to make sure that they restore women's reproductive rights, freedom from anti-blackness, anti-Semitism, anti-immigrant hate, anti-Islamic hate, anti-Muslim hate, homophobia, misogyny, sexism. So, I want to speak to the culture right now, to the brothers and sisters in the barbershops. Shout out to my celebrities, my Killer Mikes, Sexy Red and Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne, and then a couple months ago Snoop said he was cool, Donald Trump was alright with him. Alright, I'm name checking y'all. And I got love for all of you all. Sexy Red is she out of my demo, so I can't really connect with her. My daughter name checking. All right. Time to choose. The fun and games are over. Yes, all elections are local, but when you have a presidential election, presidents put people in positions of power, like Supreme Court judges, that will basically make decisions and rulings to take away women's, or allow states, like here in the state of South Carolina where I'm at, and all your southern states, that were the original Confederate states, to take away a woman's reproductive rights. So it's a choice between the freedom of your 18-year-old daughter or niece or grandchild, or your 12-year-old grandchild being a victim of rape or incest, having to choose between delivering, carrying to term the child of her rapist or going to prison. It's a choice between all of your freedoms, not just the civil rights and voting rights and reproductive rights, but your rights not to be discriminated against when you want to buy a home or rent an apartment, or when you want to insure your home or your car, or when you're trying to get health care, even if you can't get health care, not being discriminated in your place of employment, or when you're trying to get a loan to start a business, or your business not being discriminated against when it comes to getting federal dollars. All that is on the line. So it's a choice. Once again, I'm calling out the culture and the community. Killer Mike, Sexy Red, Waka Flocka, Lil Wayne, Snoop Dogg, anybody else? If I left out some names, let me know. I'd love to have. Feel free to come on this show and we can have that conversation, because it is time to choose between the freedom of our people that you all say that you love, or the oppression of our people. And it ain't no in between. It's that simple. Do you choose? Are you truly about the not just the freedom, but the liberation of not just our culture, but specifically of African Americans, Black Americans in Chicago? I mean, in Chicago, I'm thinking about where I was born. But African Americans here in the culture in America, in Chicago, and Detroit, and Atlanta, and Houston, and Dallas, and Detroit, and Cleveland, and Philly, the Bronx, and Harlem, and out of Los Angeles, and South Central. Are you truly about their freedom and liberation? Because if you are, it's a clear choice. Because the cult, they are getting rid of all of it. And if you don't believe me, you can see it for yourself. Google Project 2025. You can download it on your phone, on your tablet, on your PC, at home, or your laptop. That's a 1,000-page booklet. Oh, they got the plans to strip away all your rights. I've said it before, I'm saying it again. Super Tuesday is over. So now it's a clear choice. Do you choose your freedom and the freedom of your family and your children and maybe your great-grandchildren yet unborn? Or do you choose your oppression? You choose. March is Women's History Month, and I am so honored to be able to platform and amplify the voices and share the stories of some incredible women. I had she's really like a family member, friend of the show, family member, Crystal Matthews, former South Carolina state representative. She works in local government in Hollywood, South Carolina. You're not part of the Charleston, South Carolina Metro, and she's an author, Nicole Spencer, that has a book signing on Saturday. Even Broken Crayons Color, that is the name of her book. Go to Amazon, search that on Amazon, you can pre-order her book now. So, in honor of Women's History Month, I am introducing to you a young lady who is truly family to me. There she is on camera. She is the CEO of CM Transportation, an amazing company. This woman's reputation in the transportation industry is second to none. She has an incredible story, and thank you. I'm humbled and honored. I love you, family. You know that. And I'm just honored that God has allowed me to have a platform to allow your voice to be amplified and to be able to share your story with the world, because somebody could be watching, and not just a young woman. It could be a man, anyone. Hear your story and could be inspired to start their own business. So welcome Corisa Carter to the show. Welcome her back, because she is not a friend of the show. She is part of the Geno Jones Show family. Hello, family.
Hi, Geno. How are you?
I'm good. So thank you for allowing me to go ahead and, my monologues are more, you know, 3 parts rant, 1 part stand up. Unless on Fridays is like all parts stand up. But it just, we're living in some very serious times. So we gotta, take our freedoms. We can't take it for granted. I know we have generations. I think of my daughters. I got a millennial and a Gen Z. Up until recently, they were born into a world where they didn't know anything about losing and reproductive rights. They didn't even think anything about it. But now they've been forced to think about it, to the point to where my youngest daughter, Allie, said, "Dad, look, I love you and Mom. I'll always come and visit you. I can't come back to South Carolina. I can't live in a state to where you got a bunch of old men telling me what I can't do with my body." She said, I'm paraphrasing, it's like, make that make sense, because it doesn't. I said, honey, you're right.
Yeah, I have 2 daughters too, Geno, and both of them said the same thing. They went off to college and that they come back for birthdays and holidays, but they're like, yeah, Ma, I don't know. Mom, Dad, I don't know if we'll ever move back to Charleston.
Yeah.
And you're absolutely right. My oldest daughter is actually an activist. So she marched on Charlotte when North Carolina passed that abortion ban. She did. She was there because we are, and we're raising world changers and world leaders, right?
Yes.
So we appreciate your platform and appreciate you being a voice for not just our community, but for women.
Yeah.
So
and
we
just for
appreciate
humanity, Carissa, because really at the end of
humanity.
the day, I mean, and I've talked about this. I'm sure you've probably seen one of the monologues. Is I email and text you all of them, all the damn shows, probably blow up your damn inbox. But this whole construct of race was made up. It was made up way back in the 1600s, so just some small handful of people could control the masses and to pit us against each other by ethnicity, by gender. Because I've said it 1,000 times, and I'll say it 1,000,000 more times. Bigotry and hatred in all of its forms, misogyny and sexism has always been big business. And there's always been a small cadre, a small handful of people who had no sense of humanity, compassion, and empathy and said, damn, man, we can make money, we can get rich.
Big business.
No sense of humanity. But at the end of the day, we are all human, and we all really need to tap into that. But I didn't bring you on for that. But I just shout out to millennials and Gen Z. So your daughter, millennial, Gen Z, or
well, our youngest daughters are the same age, Allie and Cameron.
Allie, okay, so
that's right, yeah.
Gen Z.
And and then my oldest one turned 27.
So she's right at the cusp.
Yeah,
of the millennial, Gen Z, and shout out really. The millennials are fearless, but man, them Gen Zs, you got 2 of them. Woo! They are fearless.
They are fearless.
You talking about don't F around and find out. They do not IDGAF. They don't.
Ooh, and you know the other one. We are our ancestors. We are our ancestors' worst nightmares. Their ancestors' worst nightmares. Yes, sir.
Yes,
that's
they are.
Right.
And they gonna come with receipts. They gonna be like,
with
receipts.
Hold
on. Wait, what you say there? Hold on now. Wait. But you know it's beautiful that as a parent, because they hold me accountable, and I taught them that. I said, when you make a mistake, raise your hand, be the first one. Look, my bad, my mistake. Own it. Don't make excuses. Own it. Atone for it. Apologize. Learn from it, and don't make the same mistake again.
Yeah. Yep. Same with mine. Same with mine. Definitely accountability.
So you have an incredible story. So please, if you don't mind, I'd love for you just to kind of uh, talk about how your journey began to become the CEO for to have a black woman in the transportation industry that is not doesn't have a history of being friendly in terms of creating or opening doors for black folks in general. Definitely not African American women. So you, whatever ceiling it is, you cracked it. So please, if you
Thank
don't mind, just share how did the journey start and what were some of the most important things that got you to it?
Man, I love to share my story. Like the few times that I have gotten up and actually spoken, not just about, transportation and logistics, but actually to share my story. One of the things that I have to start off by saying is, with God, all things are possible. Because if you would have asked me that, if you would have asked me 25 years ago, if I would have been sitting here right now, I probably would have been like, no way. I would have never thought, but with God, all things are possible. I'm truly blessed. And Denzel said in the movie, we didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on
Come on,
us.
say it. Come on now.
I,
We didn't
I
land
didn't
on
land.
Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed
Let-
on us. Man, that is one of
let-
my favorite. Denzel, they cheated him out of that Oscar.
they
For
did.
me, I have never seen a greater acting performance for me than what he became
That,
Malcolm X. And I'm a fan, a
yes,
student of Malcolm X, but oh my God, it was eerie. He really,
it was.
you could see in a movie, you could see the transformation. It was amazing.
Really, like we were right there, living in those times and everything. But that's kind of how I feel about trucking, Gino. I didn't trucking kind of landed on me when I was 4 years old. That your parents parade you around like the holidays and like, what do you want to be when you grow up? I used to tell people I was going to be the first black woman president. I wanted to go to law school. I was going to go to Harvard Law School, and I was going to practice civil rights laws, and I was going to be the first black woman president because I grew up in a small town called Big Spring, Kentucky. And when I say small, um, I didn't have an address until my senior year of high school. Our address was general delivery. We walked
Wow.
across the street to the post office to pick up the mail. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. We finally got an address, and we even got a little spot on the map, maybe by like 1995, but a very small town. My mother was born to a sharecropper. My grandfather and grandmother got married at 18 and 16, and my grandmother started having babies. I have five wonderful uncles and two beautiful aunts, and my mother. Small town called Big Spring, Kentucky. Woke up, my chores. We can barely get the girls to wash the dishes without arguing. I had to go get the eggs out of the hen house. I used to love going out there with the uncles to slop the hogs. I had my first pet was a pig named Gertrude.
Wow.
But so when people think about your passion, and when they think about your future, I just want to pause for a second and say, it's possible. I'm sitting here, I'm living proof. You're standing there, you're living proof. We had you got this passion and this fire inside of you, and I have the undying desire to help people. I'm a people person. I'm a people pleaser. My therapist doesn't always say that that's a good thing, but I did know that. I knew that I had a calling on my life to help people. Um, Made some decisions like most young adults that probably probably could have sped up the process a little bit, but it slowed me down, set me back. Got married and started having babies at like 20 years old, had three kids by 25, got a full ride scholarship to the University of Louisville. Shout out, I'm gonna plug them in right now. Go Cards. Um, and didn't last a year because I would have rather, chase behind the boy. So, and usually once you play house, what comes next are the babies, right? So, 21 years old, getting married, packed up and moved 500 miles away from home to the beautiful city of Charleston. My husband his family's from Mount Pleasant. He was born and raised in Brooklyn. But when his mom called and was like, well, maybe you all should, consider moving down to Charleston, I was all for it because I was like, like, what am I leaving behind in Kentucky? And you talk about opportunities, you talk about racism, you talk about, all of those stigmatisms. I lived as a high school cheerleader in 1994. Before we got off of the school bus, our cheerleading coach told everyone to make sure that my cousin was a cheerleader also, to make sure that Corey and Makiba didn't go to the bathroom by themselves because they still held active Klan rallies at the school that we were cheerleading at. They couldn't even get through the football games, Geno, because of the racial slurs that they were throwing at our cousins who were playing the game. And they usually by the third quarter it was over because there were too many fights. But I grew up in these times. You think it's something you would read in a history book. Um, so that what makes me appreciate the struggle in my journey that much more. And that's how I know that God is real. Packed up and moved 500 miles away from home. I only had two babies then, 2-year-old and a 4-year-old. I took a job at the Holiday Inn Reservation Center making $7.50 an hour. And with two kids living in a little apartment in North Charleston, off of Dorchester Road was our first apartment. I think the rent was like $600, maybe. I think actually it was $500.
Wow,
Can y'all believe that? Yes, you are.
Heck, that ain't even a deposit. They'll charge you $500 just to process the application.
Application fees are almost $500 now. But yeah, and so when we talk about struggle, but you have to have the test to get the testimony, right? So I thank God for the test. I thank God for those struggles. Now, then I was probably praying and crying like, oh God, why me? How are we going to do this? Got to borrow money from mom, got to borrow money from mother-in-law just to keep the lights on. And then the third baby comes. And so now we got 3 babies and we're barely 25, but we're still getting up, going to work every day. And I always had that drive. So someone at the job that I was at, he came in and he was cleaning his desk out. And I was like, oh, you got a new job? Where are you going? And he said, I got a job with a desk and a phone, girl. I'm going to OOCL. I had no idea what OOCL was from. Because remember, Sharecropper's granddaughter from Big Spring, Kentucky. I had no idea what the port was. I had no idea what OOCL was. But you better believe that I was online trying to find where OOCL was so I could get a job where he was going. And I did. I was insistent. I, got into the interview process and landed a job at OOCL, which stands for Orient Overseas Container Lines. Hi. Orient Overseas Container Lines. It was in Mount Pleasant at that time. And my job was customer service representative. So, kind of like what everybody needed done. And then I had a great supervisor, want to shout him out to, local Mount Pleasant, named Mr. Phil Jenkins. He's actually been there for like 40 years now. I think he retires within the next year. But he's seen a little, promise in me and gave me a promotion, moved me from temp to regular, and he taught me about transportation. He was the intermodal transportation manager. So it was our job to schedule trucks to get into the port, or excuse me, to find the trucking companies to go into the port, to deliver the freight for us. So just like that, just like by chance, by opportunity, but we also know that it wasn't chance or opportunity, that it was God, right? Got in there under Phil, asked the questions, did my research, but I was aggressive. I wanted to aggressively go up the ladder. I needed more money. Me and the husband, we're barely robbing Peter to pay Paul, like I said, living check to check, 3 little babies at home, no college degree. And I'm looking at Phil and I'm thinking, well, he's in, he's in his 30s and his boss is in his 40s. It's going to be 40 years before I can even make supervisor. I was talking to a gentleman out of Atlanta who owns he started his own trucking company from the ground up. And so I would call him to give him loads. And he said, Corisa, you've got the it factor. If you ever decide you want to leave OOCL and you want to get into trucking, you give me a call. So one day, it was probably one of the days that SCNG was getting ready to put the little blue tag on it. I called him. I said, how much money can I make? That's what I need to do. Let's talk about the money, And people are gonna laugh now, but as the terminal manager, I thought I was rich because he told me he would pay me $500 a week. I said, "Oh, we done hit the big time. I'm making $500 a week
Right.
to
And you
run the
wait,
man's whole office."
your rent was when you say 600, 650. You're like, man, 500 a week. Man, you mean just one check? I can pay my rent and have 3 checks.
Right.
Oh, you
That's
balling.
right. So I was like, "Oh, honey, we moving on up like Georgia wheat."
Yep.
I had no idea what it was going to take. At long hours, he came up from Atlanta. He opened the terminal. Another part about transportation and logistics, just like this connection that we have, like when you said, like we're family, I was able to bring friends and family in to work for me. I had that as the manager, I had that opportunity. So brought one of my best friends in to dispatch, brought one of my best friends in who's actually, we were married to first cousins, gave her a job in billing and payroll. And it was kind of off from there. So that terminal was the first terminal that I opened, and it was the first black terminal, and it was the first black terminal with the first terminal with the black terminal manager. So when the truck drivers, walk through the door, they're kind of like, well, I'm here to apply. And I'm like, okay, I can help you. And they're like, well, do I get to talk to the man? Well, no, I'm the manager. So then I caught one guy walking out of the office one day, and he was like, she is black. And she said she's the boss. And I was like, okay. So now he called his friends and called his friends. And before I knew it, we went from like the first 3 drivers. I went from 3 drivers to 18 drivers in a week. I went from 18 drivers to 25 drivers in 2 weeks because they wanted people that they wanted, people that look like them that they can trust. They've been working in this industry and being abused, whether it was, from rates, lack of knowledge or whatever. So when they found a black terminal to work for, they flocked to me. And the drivers, I mean, I love them to death. They were the best teachers ever. I still had to call them because I was green and be like, okay, the customer's saying this. What do I say? Can you do that tomorrow? Okay. So I was with them, that company. I think it was for maybe about a year and a half. And the way that we grew and the way that my driver following, the way that it jumped up so quickly, I kind of became a hot commodity in Charleston. So now I started getting telephone calls from other companies. And let Chris say, well, how much you gonna pay me? So I left Ashley, which I probably shouldn't have, but I was chasing the dollar when it started up 3 companies after that, I think.
Wow.
So started them up from the ground floor. And especially in Charleston, like in the intermodal, when drivers find someone that they can trust and that they like working for, they'll follow you. So that is a selling tool as a manager in this business. So when they call me, I could say, well, I've got 25 drivers that'll walk with me right now, and that's revenue changing for most companies. After the 3rd company, I landed back up with another African American owned terminal.
So let me just, Corisa, let me stop you because I think this is
Okay.
important. Like 3 companies. Here you
Yeah.
are, a young black woman. We're talking about
In
the early 2000s.
2001. Yeah. 2001,
So
2002.
how did you get the funding? It's so hard just for African American businesses and women and a black woman dealing with the racism and the misogyny and sexism. So how did you overcome that? How were you able to get the
Well,
funding?
that's a very good question, but it wasn't mine. I was, and so Gino, that is the best. I think one of the best part of the stories, or actually what propelled me, was that you heard me say I opened 3 companies. I opened 3 companies for 3 men, for 3 different
Oh,
men.
okay.
They were theirs. I was just the terminal manager, and I was the selling tool, but I was still just the manager. At the end of the day, I was still just the manager. And
Gotcha.
another point that I wanted to bring up, like when you said about misogynistic, and it is it's an older white man business. That's who you see around those round tables. So I wasn't really invited to the round tables. They wanted to use my smarts, they wanted to use my looks, they wanted to use my connections behind the scenes, but I was never put on the front line. And so when landed the last job that I was actually a manager for, that terminal, it grew. We landed a Fortune 500 account, international paper.
Wow.
So I was like the VIP account manager. I made some great connections there. But once again, even though I'm working for these gentlemen, I still, like I still had only that purpose to serve. My voice was heard, but it wasn't heard, if that makes sense,
Yes.
And and if he was invited to dinners or to go be customers, then he was taking Karen beside me, even though I was running stuff, because he thought that the people he was going to meet would have rather seen Karen and not Carissa. You know, I mean, and sad. It's sad, but it's true. So we're gonna work our way up to this 13 years ago. So I've been in business, this will be my 13th year. So God is good. Thank you for that. And so 13 years ago, we went into the international paper bid. I think we were running probably close to 60 or 70 trucks. I was managing 6 or 7 people in the office. He didn't even really have to come in. I was pretty much single-handedly running their business. I remember for Christmas, in December, I hung a plaque on the wall from the corporate office that was like $8 million plaque. From the time that we got, yeah. So they were a top performer. Our terminal was a top performer. I hung the $8 million plaque on the wall, Geno.
We're talking about 20 years ago.
13.
13. Well, even then,
Yeah,
that's even
right,
today,
right.
8 million would be big. Why? But 13
And this,
years ago,
yes,
wow.
this their gross revenue. And Christmas comes around, we ain't get no Christmas bonus. And I think his wife felt so bad, she brought me some white diamonds. And I was just like, wow. So that's when I told myself, if I ever do this for myself, I'm gonna make sure that my employees know that they're appreciated. I'm going to make sure that I treat the people who do the day-to-day functions the way that I wanted to be treated when I was that person. Getting up out of my bed, you guys, on Saturdays and Sundays, passing a notebook to the back seat to that 27-year-old, the one that's 27 now, and telling her to write this container number down and then text this to this driver, text this to AJCC. So she's been dispatching probably since she was 13. Bringing the 20-year-old, she was probably 8, and having her, you see all of these numbers on these papers, you put them in this stack, these on this stack. So it was 7 days, it was 24 hours a day. I was on call. I'd have to excuse myself from my mother-in-law's table at Mother, who loves you very much, Grandma Velma. She just had a birthday 2 days ago. I had to excuse myself at Christmas so that I could go outside and dispatch, or go outside and find a tire man, because these guys were still working. And it caused struggles. I missed so many award ceremonies, that the kids, they always say, "Oh no, mom, you were always there." No, I wasn't. I remember missing them. I remember grandma having to go pick up my kids when they're sick from school and sit with them. I remember my husband fussing because the phone is ringing all through the night if there's a problem, you know? And then here this man was that doesn't even give us a bonus or a Christmas gift. But I think it was also because God knew, he knew the next step. I was frustrated in the moment, but still never thought about leaving. And once again, why wouldn't Carissa step out and do it for herself? Because I want to know how much you gonna pay me. So if I had to work off a commission, I was like, People would say, "Oh, you should no, 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 no." Well, that right after that Christmas, we found out that they lost the international paper contract, because once again, they didn't listen to the person that was doing it. I was like, this is a bid. I'm trying to tell them this is what I think, but who was I but just a little woman, and they were the big bosses. So once they lost the international paper contract and they started downsizing, um, the drivers did come to me. The same guys, a lot of them that had followed me for, from the beginning. Some of them would find me and come back, but they were like, "Well, Carissa, we don't want to go work for anybody else. We want to work for you. I can do it because I got to pay bills. I don't know. I can't work off a commission." And I lie to you not, if I could bring my cousin on right now, she could verify this story. But we were in church on Sunday. She was actually, she was in the choir stand and I was in the pew by myself. She had invited me to visit, and I visited a couple of times. The first lady came and pulled me out during altar prayer. I hadn't joined the church, so the pastor really didn't know me from Adam, other than that, that I was visiting my cousin. And he prophesied to me, and he told me that he asked his wife to bring me up there because the Holy Spirit told him that now was my time. And he said that he had visions of trucks, all different colors, white, yellow, purple, black, red, lined up across the bridges on the way to the port. And he said that those are yours. And I mean, I kind of lost it and I started crying because I was scared. I was like, and telling my husband, T, I don't know, I don't know anything about running a business. But I stepped out on faith. And so November 11th, 2011, I went from just being somebody's terminal manager and making them money to being able to open my own trucking terminal. Started off with like one of the great guys that connected with me. Well, first of all, he tried to talk me into working for him, and I was like, I'm not doing this again. He was like, you can just come and work for me if you don't want the headache. No, 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 no. We're gonna do it. I mean, if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it for me this time. Now we can partner up. So he brought his 4 trucks, and we had like 4 other guys who said, whenever whenever you walk, we're walking. So we started off with 8 trucks. We now have 42. And I don't own the trucks; they are owner operators. So I am their liaison. I found the freight for them, and they operate their own business. So I have 42 small businesses that work underneath me, which also led me to the push. Like, I know what it was like. I know how many nights I went to bed crying. I know how many nights I had to call somebody and say, hey, can I borrow a couple of dollars? I know how many nights I wondered if I was going to get, a great account, because the great account that I came from, they had already concluded their bid and they locked companies in for 3 years. Um, but I did reach out to them and told them that I was stepping out on faith and opening my own terminal, and told them that, if they would give me the opportunity to bid, because you have to be invited to bid for like companies like that to pull their freight. So 3 years in, I got that phone call and I got that email, and it was International Paper, and they came and they found me. Actually, before we back up, before the 3-year bid was over, maybe we had been in business for about a year, and I got a phone call. And the lady said, a gentleman told with International Paper told me to give you a call because we need some help. And he said, call Corisa. She's got her own company. So I knew my name was still being thrown around up there. But 3 years later, I got invited to the bid. I got awarded the bid. And 13 years later, as of this past January, I was awarded the bid for the 3rd time as well.
Wow.
So we're one of the primary carriers for International Paper. They're Regalwood, North Carolina.
Amazing. So when you finally stepped out on faith and opened your business, so where did you get the money from? Was it your savings? Did you have to take a loan, or what happened?
Both. So, well, excuse me, not both, but actually, when I said that you become a hot commodity when you have that truck following, so they're the bigger companies, kind of like the media groups, right? So they seek out Geno Jones because of his experience, because of his following, and you kind of get to negotiate what you want, right?
Okay.
So that's where the startup money came from for the terminal. That's also the reason that I didn't open like CM Transportation and own the trucks or put the name on the side. I wanted somebody else to take that responsibility. So when they came down, it's kind of like I was interviewing companies, and I could tell them, hey, we've got 8 guys that we can start up with now, but this is how much it's going to cost. I need the rent paid, the yard rent paid for 3 months. I need the office rent paid for 3 months. I need the salaries paid for 3 months. You have your people call my people. If you can do that, then maybe we can do a deal. And I landed with a great company, Callan Transport, immediately. So I did get to negotiate startup costs. But we did also have to use some, apply for some credit cards and go on Duns and Bradstreet, look for some startup help. And it wasn't easy when they say, like, and as well as I do, when they say that the first 5 years of being in business, ooh, that daggone Uncle Sam, IRS.
Yeah.
I tell you what, I'm probably going to owe them for the rest of my life.
Nothing to play
So
with.
those of you all who are thinking of starting a business, you call me, and so I can give you some little nuggets, okay? Because I will tell you some things to do and not to do, because I did learn the hard way.
Well, it's funny that you went there, because my next question was going to be, what is the best advice that somebody gave to you? And if you like to pass it on and pay it forward, if you don't mind, do that. And maybe what's the one thing for anyone that wants to start a transportation company or just any business, what's the one mistake that how do I want to phrase this? You know, sometimes there's something that happens in our life and we make a mistake, and that's kind of like the a pivotal moment. It's like, I've learned from that, and because they're lessons. I tell people all the time, like losing is a lesson. You only lose when you don't learn the lesson and you don't give up.
Making that same mistake. That's right.
So what would those instances? What's the best piece of advice that somebody gave you, and what was that one loss or lesson that really was pivotal and turned the corner for you in your business?
It's funny because it's one and the same. So the advice that I was given, I think this man, if right now he's probably like 80 and he's been in trucking since he was 20, right? So this older man found out, we started doing some business together, and he's like he liked me, and he asked me how my startup was doing, and I was kind of fussing and complaining, and because I was wearing all of the hats. I literally had an Excel spreadsheet because I thought I could do everything. So that was my profit and loss statement, Geno. Okay. I recorded my revenue. I put my bills on there, what had to be paid. And, I'm just telling him, like the bookkeeping. And I went on the internet to try to find out how to calculate my employees' taxes. I thought I could do it all. And he said, one thing I learned, young Corisa, being a business owner, I said, what? Okay, Fred, tell me. He said, what you could do, what you know how to do, and what you don't know how to do, pay somebody to do. And I said, I didn't know how to be a bookkeeper. I didn't know how to calculate the taxes, but I thought that I was smart enough to learn. I did not listen to that advice in the beginning. And so that was one of those lessons that was a very costly lesson for me, like I said about Mr. I, Mr. R, Mr. S. But when I did retain an accountant that actually handled my bookkeeping, when I did get more people in the office, to help me like do payroll and didn't try to dispatch and do payroll, it took alleviated some of my stress, but at least it was now done correctly. So you can't be the bookkeeper and the manager and the mechanic and HR and operations. I tried because I wanted to keep that money in there. So I definitely, my advice would be, that is definitely the piece of advice. Do what you know. I was good at trucking. I was good at dispatching. I knew how to do that. But the other parts of running the business, I didn't know. So I had to spend the money in order for my business to be structured correctly and to operate correctly. I needed to pay somebody for that advice. So I definitely recommend that to people. And that was one of the hardest lessons that it was for me I'm a micromanager, so for me to let that go a little bit. And I also tell people, like, you always want to help everybody, and then once you say you own a business, everybody thinks you're rich, like in the first week. So you can't help everybody. Okay. You do have to use some discernment when you decide how to help people. Me and my bestie that walked in back there, we always laugh because I'm like, and once you say, okay, the first time, can I borrow $100? Can you help me with my rent? My kid needs a new pair of shoes. As soon as you say yes that first time, honey, your phone gonna keep ringing. I say, you better stop answering. you have to learn how to say no.
You're right. That is so true. So listen,
Yes.
before I let you go, and thank you for sharing such an inspirational story. Does the company have opportunities for those who maybe want to change companies or maybe get started in the industry or just want to go with a company where they feel that the growth potential, maybe it could be, it is Women's History Month, maybe some young women in their 20s who are looking for a great opportunity to come and learn the transportation industry.
Yes.
So
And
share that with us and let everybody know what opportunities and companies, any companies out there, small businesses, large corporations that need a reliable transportation company. Put it all out there.
That's right. So right now, it is the market, just like when you all see recession, like when the country starts going into recession and you all see market prices go up, we're usually the first line that affects. So the imports and stuff have been down. So business has been down. I'm not going to say at this right moment that I'm leasing on more owner operators, but I'm always mentoring. My door is always open for people who want to get into the industry and want to know how to get into the industry. That's why I birthed the Charleston Truck Expo, so that I could be available and introduce people to other, other gurus in the industry to get that information. But always in mentoring. If you're a driver and you have questions, you want to know how to operate your business, CM Consulting, CM Transportation, I am still available. And I know that God's got us, and I know it's going to come back. So you can follow us, CM Transportation, on Facebook, Charleston Truck Expo on Facebook, both of them on Instagram. You can find me under Corey Mills Carter on Facebook and Corisa T 1977 on Instagram. But check me out, guys. Follow me. Like I said, my door is open. If I don't have an opportunity for like a truck driver right now that I'm leasing on, it's not going to be long, because if you got it, a truck brought it, and we keep the world moving. So our freight's got to come back. China's got to ship something to us soon.
And what about if there are any company, small or large, that needs a reliable transportation company or drivers, they can reach out to you also?
You can reach out to us also. You can also contact, or we run and we do business as Cowan. Cowan Transport Services is the company name, but you can Google me, Corisa Carter. You'll find me. If you Google my name, that was a life-changing experience, to be able to Google yourself and see some positive stuff pop up, right?
Yes.
I think I shed a little tear when that happened. Google Corisa Carter, Google CM Trans. You'll find us. North Charleston, South Carolina. We haul the containers out of the port and deliver it to warehouses. Like I said, we know how to handle VIP customers. International Paper is one of the best. I have an outstanding staff. If you added up all of our years of experience, it's over like 120 years. From the dispatchers that I have in there, my safety guy and my office manager, whom I love all dearly. So we'll take care of you. And yeah, so if you know somebody that's always complaining about their trucking company delivering late, tell them call Corisa. We'll get your stuff there on time.
Yes,
and
I'm co-signing for it. All right. So
that's right.
Especially if you got a company, small or large, and you've been having some jank leg drivers, problem solved. You reach out to family there. Corisa Carter, CEO of CM Transportation. Man, I'm so proud of you. I love you, family.
Thank you. Of
course, you have a permanent home. So anytime there's anything that you want to discuss, information that you feel is relevant to the community in general, you already know. You
Sounds
got a
good.
permanent home here. So thank you
again.
Know
me.
It is Women's History Month, and you are a history maker. Now, I know you're humble by nature, but you deserve to get your proper. So that's why I was so excited. I wanted to bring you on in honor of Women's History Month, because you see one right there in living color on camera. Sisters are making history in an industry that is not easy. And them good old boys didn't want no sister in there. I'm going to give it to you straight. But she didn't let that stop her. And look how God is.
Look at God. With God, all things are possible. I do want to say happy birthday to my mama, too. And she's still in Big Spring, Kentucky, Geno, just for the record. Yeah.
I hope she's watching. Did you tell her you were going to be on?
Today. She's a chemical lab technician, so she's at work. Still working. That's probably where I get how much are you going to pay me from? Because she ain't going to miss no money.
I love it. I'm not mad at her. She taught you well. I taught my daughters the same. They don't miss no money either.
Mine either.
They don't miss no money. Well, don't worry, because, you will have copies of the episode soon as it's over, so you can email it and text it to Mom. Happy birthday, Mom. Job well done. Mom and Dad, job well done.
Oh, thank you.
Corisa, thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Such a beautiful spirit. I told you.
Oh,
sister's brilliant too.
I love it, Geno. I could do interviews and talk all the time. So thank you.
Thank you. She is just amazing. All right, listen. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life. As always, God bless each and every one of you and you, and especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show live Monday through Friday. 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 in Chicago, 3:30 p.m. in Los Angeles. Subscribe, share, screen grab, pull a video clip. Great conversation we just had with Corisa Carter. Binge watch all my back episodes Monday through Friday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Make sure you check it out. Oh, by the way, this weekend, the clocks go ahead. We spring ahead, spring forward, spring ahead, 1 hour. So you get an extra hour of daylight, but you lose an hour of sleep. So y'all need to go to bed like a couple hours early. I've been trying to go to bed like at least an hour, 45 minutes early all this week. So just to get ready for it. All right, everybody. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist of the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram and his work. He's a hair artiste, a barbering palace. So check him out on IG, Instagram. Kel be cutting up. KELBECUTTINUP. Allie Jones. She is the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check her out and her collection out on IG, Instagram. It's LX.NCL_LO-. LX.NCL_LO- at the end of the second L on IG or Instagram. The Geno Jones Show is brought to you by CM Transportation. If you have a business, small or large, and you've been having issues with truck drivers, and you need a reliable transportation company, CM Transportation, you just got a chance to hear from the CEO, Corisa Carter. So reach out to her. You can Google. She said, like Shaq, Google. She said, Google me. Corisa, CORISA Carter. CM like Mary. CM Transportation. All right. We'll see you Thursday. The next live edition is Thursday p.m. or Thursday 6:30 p.m. Eastern, 5:30 p.m. in the Windy City, Chi-Town, 3:30 p.m. out in the City of Angels in Los Angeles. Until then, if you missed some of this show, go back and binge watch. Shout out to everybody watching me live in my chat room. Shout out to Trinace Carter, author who's got a brand new book coming out. She's going to be a guest of mine in about a week or so. Groove Master Dre and everybody else watching me live, thank you. And if you're not watching me live, but you are watching me like right now, whenever that right now is, thank you. Spread the word. Tell everybody. Copy and paste the link. You can text the link, email it, copy of the show. Tell them to go to YouTube and they can pull a screen, grab some of it. Subscribe to the Geno Jones Show YouTube channel and watch all my back episodes. Make it a binge watch. A Geno Jones Show binge watch night, morning, week, weekend, month, whatever. We'll see you live Thursday, 6:30 p.m. Eastern. Thanks for watching.
Episode of the Geno Jones.
You don't want to miss the 2024 Charleston Black Expo, a full day of fun and activities for the whole family, including job fair, health fair, free seminars, the Divine Nine Greek Village. Join the fireside chat with Mother of Black Hollywood, actress Dr. Jennifer Lewis, and sensational performance by gospel singer and songwriter Dietrich Haddon. It's an enlightening, educating, and entertaining experience you don't want to miss. For tickets and more information, visit blackexposouth.com.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.
Hello, hello.